A lot of you have been wondering how much money it is that you need to make on an annual basis in order to leave your 9-to-5 job. In other words, give that rat race the boot, guys. In this video, we're going to be addressing that very question. So take a seat, listen, because you just may learn something, guys. Now, we're going to be breaking this down line by line, number by number, precept upon precept for you guys to help you to understand if your financial situation is looking a little shaky or if it's looking prime for you to leave your 9-to-5 job. Now, on this channel, we're focused primarily on crypto and day trading investing when it comes to crypto stocks, futures, and Forex. So that's going to be the premise of this video. Now, if you are in a situation where your job, and I don't think many of us are in a situation, but if you're in a situation where you're looking to just make an extra $5,000 a year, that means you only need to trade to make $20 a day. Now, let's take a step back, guys. In a year, there are about 252 days that are worthwhile trading, guys. This is including holidays, bank holidays, and all those things of that nature. But there are 252 days in a trading year. So what you would do is pretty much multiply that amount of $20 times to 252. And that's how you'll come up with about $5,000 and some change, guys, for you to have at the end of the year by day trading. Now, on the surface, this may look like, wow, $5,000, that's nothing, guys. But this is where things get interesting. What you need to start thinking about, and this is for all my seasoned day traders out there, all of you guys that are aware of how the game is played, what you need to do is consider getting some prop firm account, guys. Getting a couple of those, because think about it this way. You're magnifying your earnings multiplied times the number of prop firm accounts that you have. Case in point, example, and this is not an advertisement for any one particular prop firm, and we're talking about futures here, no particular prop firm, but this is just an example to show you how the numbers can add up. A little bit of amount of money that you make can add up real quick to large amounts of money to help you leave that 9-to-5 job. Now, if we consider Apex trading, now I know a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with them. Again, this is just showing you an example on how you can make this work for you to leave your 9-to-5 job. Apex, most of the time they're running sales for about 80% off of their challenges, and they have a one-day pass requirement, and that's for a 50K, and most of all theirs, I believe, is just 1K requirement in order to pass. But let's say if you were to purchase about 10 Apex accounts, because that is the max currently, as of the recording of this video, the max number of accounts that you can have with Apex, and those accounts are around $40-ish, $33, $35-ish if they're on sale. And like I said before, they run those sales all the time, guys. If you were to buy 10 Apex accounts, right, and you would be out of, let's just round it for the sake of argument to $30, right? If you were to buy 10 of those accounts out the gate, you're out of $300. But let's say you made $20 a day, right? And there are 252 trading days in a year. That means that you would have netted around 5,000. Let's just call it 5,000 even, guys. But wait, that's 5,000 times the number of prop firm accounts that you have. And in this example, we're talking about 10 prop firm accounts. So that'll be $5,000 times 10. That is $50,000 that you would have made by the end of trading for a whole year. Think about that, guys. The average income, the average household income in the United States, I believe, is around 50 to, it may have changed because of inflation, but 50 to about 65,000. That's a wide range, but let's just roll with it, guys. Just stick with me here. So that is close enough for you to be getting real serious about giving that job, that 9-to-5 job, the boot. Now, let's move on, guys. That is what we like to call a hobby. Making $20 a day, that's a hobby, side gig, whatever. Take it what you may. We move on to the next level, $100 a day. That is a side hustle, guys. When you do the math, the numbers shake out to be around $25,000 in a year. Remember, 252 trading days in a year. So you're making $25,000, guys, per prop firm account. So if you got 10 prop firm accounts, right? We already talked about them being about $30, $40, let's just call it $30. You're out the hole, you're negative $300 because you had to invest to get the prop firm accounts, right? And then at the end of the year, you have taking it to $25,000 per account times 10. That is $250,000, guys, just making $100 a day. And you may be asking CryptoStream, how? I don't understand. How am I replicating this? Well, it's simple, guys. There's this thing called copy trading, where you essentially take one trade and you use a copy trader and you replicate whatever trade you're taking, let's say through TradingView or whatever, and you're replicating that across all of your accounts. Now, obviously, you need to pass the challenges, right? And then you need to become funded. We're not talking about that specifically. We're talking about at the funded stage, when you are funded. And obviously, we're not talking about the risk management that you need to have here. That's going to be for another video. I'm just trying to come to you real quick with some numbers and some stats to show you guys that leaving that 9 to 5 is a lot easier than you may think. Now, let's move on. Let's hasten on, guys. Making $500 a day. Now, that is what I like to call a job, making $500 a day. And the reason I call that a job is because that nets out to around $126,000 in a year. That means that if you are making $500 right now per day, you are making the equivalent of $126,000 if you were to make that in making $100 a day for 252 days in a trading year, right? So let's put that into that equation that we talked about, having those 10 funded accounts, guys, and you're going to see how these numbers escalate quick, fast, and in a hurry here, guys. So we said you're making $100 in a day. That was a side hustle. And now we were talking about a job, which is $500 a day. That's $106,000 a year. So if you're making $126,000 in 1 year with one account, you multiply that times 10. Guys, you are talking about 1.26 million with an M, a capital M. Guys, you got to put some respect on that number right there. We're talking about 1,200,000 and oh my gosh, that's a big number. $1,260,000 in a year. Taking the same trade, replicating across the 10 accounts, giving you that amount. Guys, I'm not going to dive into details on the next numbers. I'm just going to let your imagination do its work. If you made $1,000 a day trading, guys, per account, that is $252,000 per account in a year. Think about that, guys. We have already crossed the $1 million threshold when we were talking about making $100 a day. Because if we take a step back, guys, and we look at this, $100 a day is $25,000 in a year, a trading year. Keep that in mind, a trading year, 252 days in a trading year. So that's 25,200. Let's just call it 25K even. 25,000 times 10 accounts. Think about it, 250,000. So if you double that to 500,000 a day, that's 126,000, right? $126,000 in a year times 10. That's the $1 million threshold right there, guys. How many of you out there working a 9 to 5 job currently make $1 million? Raise your hand. I'll wait. I don't see not one single hand being raised right now. You see, guys, when you start to write the numbers down and you start to sit back and you start to plan and you start to understand this thing called day trading, you'll begin to understand why it is one of the key areas to help you to financial freedom. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.